All right, we are back. We have our final game of day one. We'll be having Jackson Smylie trying to knock off Andy Hoang. Andy, the only undefeated player left in Division One, and I'm sure Jackson would like to make that 0 undefeated players in Division One, if at all possible. So, looking forward to a good game for both of them. I believe Andy's set to play first, and I believe a lot of players are excited to get out of this playing room and get into Las Vegas. Definitely hot outside, but definitely lots of fun to be had as well. So yeah,
I
here we
happen
go.
to know that at least one player won a good chunk of change at blackjack this morning. That player may or may not be my mom. Reports are still coming in.
Reports still to come. Well, let us know because I know Vegas giveth sometimes, but Vegas also definitely taketh away.
Ooh, we saw Andy with this terrible go of tiles last time for a string of moves. Now he's starting off strong with some very bingo friendly tiles.
Tough go last game for sequence of turns, but this is now 2 games in a row. Andy with a blank baby bingo on his first turn as well. So that's always a good way to start a game.
Not to mention, it's not like that last game didn't work out for him.
Correct. Yeah. No, it
Pretty
ended
hard
up
to
working out
complain
just
when you
fine.
have a when you have a 6-0 record.
Yeah. So Andy has to make a decision here. Generally, when you've got a rack like this, you want to make the blank either a duplicate letter to give your opponent one less floater or something that has good defensive merit. So I'm seeing that if he makes the blank a second S, he can play easiest.
Someone in the chat said easiest decision ever.
Yes, very good. Easiest, you want to be certain you know the hooks on easiest, or rather the lack thereof, as it doesn't take any hooks. But when you have a plethora of good, you don't just play the first bingo you see, you play the bingo that you think helps you win the game the most. So if you think easiest might have a hook, play something else. If you're confident it doesn't, I think that's probably the play you want to make here. And you also want to figure out where to play easiest. I'd put the T on the star if it was my turn. But it's not. It's Andy's, and we'll see what he does.
Absolutely. I think we'll see how much time he ends up taking on this. It's already been almost 2 minutes. I'm definitely the kind of player who plays too quickly to a fault, but someone says, but then Jackson can play peasiest, as in easiest peasiest.
Exactly right. So that's you've got to be very confident that you know peasiest is invalid before you make that play. Otherwise, it looks like Andy may be playing ID8s. Easiest now he's set up on his rack. The one thing you don't want to do is spend 3 or 4 minutes on this turn, as that time could be important later on. So we'll see how much more time Andy decides to spend. And here it goes. He's going to play ID8s instead. We'll see if giving, well, we know Jackson getting the blank as a D, an additional floater, is not going to help him. But getting that E next to a double word square is definitely going to help him. Rather curious that Andy chose to play it here and not with that second E on the star. Oh, wait, no, that wouldn't have been good at all. Never mind. I'll stop talking.
Yeah, I guess it's up the S. But you're right. It is nice for Jackson where if he's not going to bingo, he can easily just play something as simple as AX and keep an excellent leave and catch up on some of those points.
Yeah, I think AX is going to be the play we see here. Although I thought easiest was going to be the play we saw last turn, and then it wasn't. So you never know.
Well, you know what? Andy just likes to mess with us. He held on to Miter so long in the last game. There we go. Classic play of Axe. We know Jackson is someone who really takes his time, but this seems like it is it seems like it is a simple choice.
Just such a standard play, and that's going to give Andy QAT back for 35 points. I think another just no-brainer decision here. Score 35. You would like to play it maybe on top of ID8s and wall this game in, but I think you play underneath, grab your points now, hold onto the V to play Vex next turn, and kind of cruise from there, see where it takes you.
So now Andy has a rack. Okay, he's got a pretty clear play here of just playing off that cue, getting good points for it. It does set up some nice spots should Jackson have an eye, which we know he does, but I do understand Andy's desire to get rid of that Q. On the other hand, is he sacrificing that many points by playing QAT off of idiots instead?
All right, well, into Jackson's nice AINRT leave. He picks up another W. It seems like when Jackson fishes on table 1, he draws W's. So we'll see what he's able to do with this. Twain underneath caught scores 41, holding LR. Twin is a similar version. Win is another version as well. Or he can take some style points and play await through the 2 disconnected A's, making wax. Some other options as well. But yeah, some fun stuff. If I'm Jackson, I really am most concerned that this board stays open. I think Andy's opening bingo of ID8s more or less ensures that it'll stay open, at least for the short term. I want to make sure that S is available as well. I don't know, but depending on my mood, I'd play Twain, Win, Twin, or even Raw and RAWIN. I think there's merit to all of those.
I like Win because, hey, I've got that T. If the bingo doesn't work out, at least maybe I can come down onto that triple. But again, I don't think certainly I'm no expert, but I don't think that this is going to be the kind of decision that should take too long.
I mean, it's a lot of marginal plays. You want to make sure you're not seeing anything that's significantly better or anything that sets up something. But yeah, just so many options that got pulled up on Quackle that are all within about 4 points of each other on top. And it's like, just gonna pick one, I guess. Yeah, Whale is what Jackson's looking at now, holding it in RT. That's reasonable as well. Maybe you bait Andy into playing down from the W and get floaters for your NRT. The Whale would actually be terrible. Andy will get WHOOF. My dog was making those noises earlier, and Andy would be very excited to get to play that for what looks like 54 points. Whoa.
Wow.
Okay, so where Jackson puts his W is actually going to matter a lot more than it appears. Twain or Rit or Whale will all give back huge plays. Win would not. So big turn, though Jackson once again doesn't know it. We do. Where are you going to put the W, Jackson?
This is an interesting decision to see him make. I agree that something like wit or win. Oh, he's going for a wait. Oh, he gets more brownie points.
Good brownie points for Jackson, and not 54 points for Andy, I think, is more key here. So cool. Good job, Jackson. I think many players would just drop twin or win here. Await, I think, is a cooler version of all of them. Keep things a little bit tighter. And now Andy's going to have a much tougher decision to make. I think he's going to make a hex play, something like HOM, making hex score pretty well, but he's not going to be able to clear up this rack nearly as well. He's going to hold on to a V and an F if he makes a play like that, which is not super fun and guarantees more trouble next turn.
Absolutely. I think it looks like he's considering somewhere where he could play off hoof. I think HOM is a better play just in that you're getting rid of just as many things, but you're getting a few more points for it.
Yeah, the real play, and it seems like it was missed, was homosex down to the EX for 40 points. It does hold FV, but 40 points is a lot. So that is a missed opportunity for Andy. And I think Hom is a better play too. It scores 31. But, what happens. That's what's done. And
he's not preventing this very quick bingo from Jackson.
Yeah, cream and just bread and butter bingo, Lanaret, high prob. But Jackson got to be excited that it doesn't get blocked. The T stays open. And Jackson right back in this game all of a sudden. He's got a 10-point lead, 123 to 133 in Jackson's favor. And what's Andy going to draw? E, E, I, U. Generally, you would be very frustrated to draw that, but when you're drawing into MSV, it is not nearly as bad as it could have been. So, cool. And he can play Vi and Vex. He can play Mauve through the A and Lanaret. He's got a number of options.
I definitely like Vi and Vex as opposed to Mauve in terms of setting up this board, but also it's like, so many times we have to pick between, do I give myself a good leave? Do I rack up some points? And Vi is one of those beautiful plays where it achieves both. So
Yeah,
so rare that you get a beauty like that. He could also, I guess, consider Vum. I would play Vi just because I love the balance of vowels and consonants on the rack that he would leave.
Yeah, I see merit to both plays, Vi or Vum, but I think we're definitely going to see a Vex play. Andy electing to play Vum, EEIS, a little bit more volatile, but also probably just a little bit better on the whole. Vum also scores 2 additional points. Maybe that's part of the consideration. So Vum is what comes down, and it is a killer for Andy as Jackson able to drop JO instantly. Yeah, Andy probably kicking himself. I was deliberating Vi and Vum, and I picked Vum, and now this happened. But it is what it is. I guess perhaps with the Q and the X out, you'd rather IS than US be there. But dang. So huge decision for both players on that turn. Jackson happening to guess right on his await turn and not stringing that W out, and then Andy guessing wrong, playing Vum over Vi.
Yep. We saw last time with when we saw Jackson playing a few rounds ago against Chris Cree, where every decision he was making was exactly the decision that Chris needed. And that seems to be happening now in Jackson's favor with Andy, where it's, Jackson's considering what is he going to play? Where does he want to play off this J? Should he save it? And then there's just this beautiful, perfect opportunity set up for him in Vum. It looks like Andy is trying to figure out if there's some way he can get down to that N. I don't think he has a bingo.
No, there are no playable
in this
bingos
draft.
here for Andy. You saw him misspell sommelier for a second, but wisely back out of that. Immersion he sees, but doesn't quite fit after the play of hoof. He does have a nice play. Moire plays on top of Lanneret with 5 overlaps for 30, holding ES.
That's pretty.
Or you can just play emo holding EIRS. Lots of good options here to put him in good shape for next turn. But no bingos. We know that he'll take a little more time, but probably come to that same conclusion. You also saw him look at SOME and Lannerets for a brief period of time. That scores 32, but MOIRE scores 30 and lets you hold on to that S to cash later if you want to. So I think MOIRE is definitely the play here. Emo,
which I think is perfectly acceptable too.
Yeah, the problem with emo is there aren't too many bingo lines. I guess you can front hook it now with certain tiles. You can play on top of HOOF, making SH, but those bingos aren't going to score very much, and they're going to open a triple line for Jackson. So I'd be less inclined to play for a bingo here and more inclined to score a little bit more now. But emo is also fine.
Do you have an updated score for us, Matt?
Yeah, I've got Jackson at 188, Andy at 176 right now.
So an incredibly close game right now.
Yes, slight lead to Jackson and Jackson's turn currently. Jackson has a good spot to play Adbot. It's on top of Emo now, making 3 overlaps, BEL, OMA, and TON. That scores 27 and works his way out of this rack, undoubles everything. Many other words play in that same spot, BOD, BOTT, or just BOT. A big decision for Jackson. How many of these letters do I want to play? How much do I want to score right now? But Adbot definitely my favorite of those.
Adbot is terrific. He could do something as simple as like bot or bad too if he didn't want to open up another lane for an 8. Also it looks like he's considering bot. Just to get rid of one of the.
Yeah, you think if Andy's playing emo, if Andy bingos next turn on top of hoof, I'd rather be as flexible as possible and give myself the best chance to crush him back with the bingo. But putting down the AD does score an additional 5 points. So BOT holds really well. Adbot scores a little better. BOTT sort of threads the needle between them. Oh man, yeah, tough decision, and one that probably is going to matter, but you don't know, what you're going to draw. So it's easy to get a little cynical like that.
With playing Adbot, if Andy is going to play his bingo and hook that SH, then Adbot has just blocked you from getting to play your own 8s through whatever he.
Yeah.
Good point. Make it a little more complicated. So he's going for BOTT, which I think is kind of the best of both worlds. He's still getting rid of that one additional letter by playing both the T's, which I totally understand that decision. But he's not necessarily opening up another lane.
This is going to be a fun turn for Andy. My experience with Andy, and this is when he was much younger and much lower rated, is he was a fish-heavy, fish-oriented player. So we'll definitely learn a lot about his new style now that he's much higher rated. Does he still fish quite a bit or not? But this will be an interesting one to watch for sure. Rig for 5 points from the R in Lanneret, holding DEIRS is a really fun play. You've got the S. Does Jackson? Probably not. Maybe. But super bingo prone, and your bingo percentage next turn has to be exceptionally high. Sig and Lanneret holds DEIR, which is still a decent leave, but it sets up an S that you no longer have, as well as an N and an H as back hooks. Sieged through the E in Lanneret, making BOTTS, is a way to score 31, but it holds IR. So yeah, just a lot of different decisions here. How much do I want to fish? A lot of options that are fairly close in valuation, but we'll see which one he decides to do.
Absolutely. I think if we saw anything from the last game, it's that Andy is a diligent decision maker. Certainly from that last move.
DEMOI through demo is another fun one. EGIRS is not quite as good as DEIRS, but with 4 unseen ends, it's okay. It just keeps things tight. That's fun. REGIE through the E. Oh man, there's a lot of options here, and none really stands out.
There's something very Freudian about his rack right now. I think it's just that I'm seeing the word Siegfried.
That's funny. All right, chat, it's up to you to come up with Freudian puns for us. Go. Make Joel angry. The longer Andy thinks, the more puns we can think of. Let's do it. So Andy going to play SIG, which takes obviously a back S, but also the sneaky H and N. I've been burned by this one. I never see that N as a back hook. Decent option, especially from a valuation perspective, but I don't think I like opening all of those hooks that I don't have in this situation. So we'll see.
Oh, the dreaded W.
Oh no, not a W, and triple D's as well. Not good.
Triple D's is definitely an opportunity for something Freudian. I take that joke back. I regret it immediately.
Siegfried and Roy is our Vegas shout out, I suppose. Jackson does have that N, but he doesn't really seem to have anything else. Nude plays for 24, holding ATY, which is kind of a I want to throw up a little bit kind of play. He can play GUY as well, but if I'm Jackson and I see Sig come down, I know Andy thought for a while, but I feel like he's probably setting something up here, and I don't want to let him have something that easy. I think I'm going to play nude after I spend a long time making sure I don't have another 4, 5, or 6 that plays in that spot.
Right. And yeah, it's almost as if you cast it yourself, right? I think that is, as much as that's not the leave you would want from a rack like this, I think if my opponent is just playing off an S and opening up this whole big lane, I'm thinking they're about to bingo.
Yeah,
unfortunately, it didn't work out for Andy in this case. But the nice thing for Andy is that at least he kind of forced Jackson's hand of you better play in this spot, given that he now can't bingo.
Yeah, but also quite lucky that he got hit about as softly as he could have been hit in that spot. So this will be good to see. Andy's best play definitely is Dewed, D-E-W-E-D. That looks a little strange. How confident is he on his 5s? Will he
play? It's another word for divorce, to de-wed.
De-wed? Is that actually?
No, It's dude.
Too wet with do. Yeah. Okay. So will Andy know that do is a verb? I don't think I would, but he does, and he's going to play
Huge skill drop.
3 points. Gets rid of that awful W and double D's. Not bad.
Yeah, certainly a good option for what he's got there. And now Jackson has those 2 Ys, so it's almost like a karmic tile god justice that, you're going to stupidly keep a Y, we're going to give you another one. But I think he did make the right move last turn.
Yeah, definitely. No way for Jackson to play off both of these Ys that I'm seeing, save one word. That would be Yarely, Yarely, through the E in dude. I know that's a good play because it gives back huge options on a tight board. But if he wants to undouble the Ys, play off both of them, he can. The Y is actually fairly synergistic with the L, the T, and the I.
I could see him doing something like Tony and Yaw, just for the sake of, at least shutting down that E that's been opened up. He is seeing Yarly, though.
Yeah, I mean, Tony and Yaw makes sense as well. You got to ask yourself, am I closing just to close or am I closing with the purpose? And Jackson, it is his turn. He's up by 3 points. Yaw will put him up by, Yaw scores 20, so Yaw will put him up by 23, but he's holding on to bad tiles that don't really go anywhere on the board. I kind of like Jackson's idea to play long here and just kind of hope that you don't get hit back hard. Andy's not going to be able to hit him back hard at all. Rhizoid is super cool through that OI, but really the only way to work out of this rack. Yeah, Andy's got to play. Oh, whoa, weird. Wow.
What a draw.
Yeah, Jackson picking up a blank, which is huge. That's going to help him get back into this game. And Andy, all of Andy's plays are nuts right now. He's got Hemoid through the EMO and to the D, HEMO.
Whoa, that would be a fun find.
It's 15. He's got Rhizoma to the OMA or Rhizoid through the OI. But nothing else good at all. Idiom, if he wants to get rid of 3 or 2 of his eyes, you can play Idiom to the OM. But I kind of like what the chat was sneaking at. Fish for Zardom or Tsardom, CZARDOM, TZARDOM, on a board with very few other options. If I can hold DRZ and just kind of wait for a T and an A, that'd be
true. It looks like he has found Idiom, though.
Yeah, I don't know. If I can find a way to close the board and fish for one of those, that would be just a game-changing play. But Andy gonna get rid of the eyes, play Idiom, HIRZ, can score a whole lot of points next turn for him. That's a reasonable play. Jackson now Piratic, I believe, is good on his rack, but doesn't fit on the board. He's not going to have any bingos, in fact, on this turn, which is a little bit of a bummer for him. But hey, you picked up that blank. You've got the P for the POI spot as well. You can score some points. Andy didn't hit you back under Yarly or Yarely, so that's also big. Things are going okay for Jackson right now. I'm feeling all right.
Looks like Jackson's considering maybe Pika under Yearly, just going ahead and taking that spot, if not for points, for the sake of, you know what, at least then you can't take it.
Yeah, perhaps. Or maybe he's thinking about phoning with Pika-ite as he has nothing else to do. I don't know how much Jackson thinks Andy knows word-wise. I know last year Andy dropped, I think, a couple phonies on eventual champion Michael Fagan that stayed on the board. But, you know, Andy's surge in rating to me at least implies that he's been studying quite a bit. I don't think I can phony him with something as silly as Pika-ite. I don't know what Jackson does here, actually. If you want to be really aggressive, maybe you play TIPI up top along idiom, stick that T in a triple triple and just say, hey, Andy, what you got? But that's very aggressive, and Andy would have Hertz back for a boatload of points, HERTZ. Maybe you just fish PI in that same spot and wait until you get a bingo. Maybe you do play Pika and knock out the yearly spot. I'm not sure. Big decision for Jackson, but I think he's going to do what makes sense and play Pika here.
Right. Now it looks like
to Pika.
I can check. I don't
yeah, no, as soon as you put it down, I'm like, wait, hang on now. Pika takes a front
what?
S. This is wild. Does Jackson think Andy doesn't know
front
it?
S hooks in these games are just killing us.
Maybe, is Jackson assuming Andy doesn't know it, or is he just trying to set it up for himself? With it, he doesn't have an S blank. There's two S's on the scene. I'm confused what just happened.
Here's another option. Did he just forget?
Perhaps. But, once you put that down and you see that red square right in front of it, don't you remember? I'm so curious. Yeah, Jackson, we will find out, I guess, shortly if one of the players knows the Spica hook. I'm stressed out right now for both of them. So Andy can score a lot of
text afterwards that will haunt someone.
Jackson probably very happy that he played underneath Yearly, because otherwise Prize plays in exactly that spot for a gazillion points. But Jackson probably a little upset that he doesn't have a Spica bingo on this rack. Oh man, my heart is racing right now. What is even going on?
I mean, if I'm Jackson right now, I don't know how far into the game we are, but is it worth not bingoing there, but just getting a ton of points?
Yes. Yeah. VOES.
VOES, yeah.
I'm stressed out. So VOES is 54, ENVOIS is 60, or OVENS is 57. We've got 20 tiles in the bag, 27 unseen for Jackson. Not a lot of good stuff. A lot of clunky consonants, but a good vowel consonant balance. No blanks unseen, obviously, and two S's unseen. Jackson had to know that Andy doesn't have an S last turn, or doesn't know the Spica hook, because if he had it, prizes certainly comes down for 9,000 points and game over. But Andy did turn over 5 new tiles, so if he didn't have an S, maybe he just drew one. Does he know the hook? Does Jackson know the hook? There are so many questions that I can't answer right now, and I'm just stressed out, and I don't know what's going to happen. Scrabble's so wild, and I love it. This is also a rack for Jackson that looks like it's got a bingo. When he drew it, I'm like, okay, he'll just play some bingo. There's nothing. There's nothing.
And not even through the D and
idiom. Jackson's not. No sevens, no D, no 8 to the D. There's actually nothing. So what else
Jackson
do you do?
Has forgotten. I think he's forgotten SPICA is what's happened here. Because otherwise, I think Jackson is the kind of player who would play VOES.
I'm so confused and I'm so stressed, and I don't know who knows that word, but it's sitting there for 9,000 points, and I don't know what's going to happen with it. Jackson making great content for Twitch, if nothing else. Jackson now has negates, so we'll definitely find out if Jackson knows Spica in just a minute.
But the good news for him is, if not, I mean, he certainly can bingo next turn.
Yeah, but if Andy picks up one of the 2 unseen S's and then plays Spica, his bingo doesn't even matter.
On the other hand, if Andy thinks that his so Andy, let's just assume for theoretical sakes, knows that Pika takes a front S and is trying to block, but instead what he's done is set up an actual just another bingo lane.
Yeah, Andy also had a really cool RUKH played for 30 on top of hoof, making UHKOI and HOD. But maybe he's trying to block the hook. Maybe he's trying to set up a bingo line. Honestly, I have no idea what's going on in this game, and I'm so curious. I want to text Jackson again, like right now. But
I'm wondering too,
negated.
Jackson playing this play that has no S's in it. If Andy's like, what? I thought you had both S's this whole time.
Yeah, I thought you had them both. What is happening? Everybody, I think, is confused right now. I hope you're confused.
Andy's like
that too.
I think Andy's sitting there thinking, how did you not play both S's and I still haven't picked one of them?
Or maybe Andy, doesn't know the hook either, and I have no idea what's going on. Scrabble's so wild. I love this game. Okay, so let's get back onto what's happened now. Spike is gone. We don't have to worry about that anymore. My heart can slow down a little bit. Andy, with a kind of yucky rack and a kind of yucky situation, he is down 55 with 8 tiles in the bag. So again, he's got to decide now, am I bingoing to win? Or is there a way maybe I can score enough points to get back into this game? He's got plays like Raku, R-A-K-U, and Avoid. They score okay. They float an R out to kind of keep things open. I'm not seeing any great plays that open like really good bingo lines, except you could consider playing Rake instead of Raku in the same spot. Yeah, let's try to get the unseen pool on the screen as well. It's very interesting. ABEFGILLNNOORSS unseen. So Andy doing a similar version of Rake. He's going to play Rack, set up front hooks. He doesn't have any. He has ERU, but he's got to hope he draws one at this juncture to give himself a chance. And Jackson pulls just one vowel out of the consonant-heavy pool. So the spot that Andy has set up, he's not going to be able to do much about. But unseen to Jackson, are there any front hooks to Rack unseen? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, front hooks are C, F, T, W, and none of those tiles are unseen. So Jackson actually doesn't have to worry about a front hook to Rack. Only bingos to the R.
Well, and frankly, Jackson has the only front. He has that F.
Right.
If he wanted to, he could, if he was unsure, shut that down. Of course, he sets up like a little triple spot, but...
Yeah, wow.
But I think if he's able to, look at his tracking, and he has plenty of time on his clock, and see that he has the only thing up there, it might be more valuable to try and shut down some of these other bingo lanes. Although, on the other hand, he's not up by terribly a lot. If he plays something like Flab, and frankly, he has the only other A. So if he plays Flab, then that triple lane isn't being taken in the top right corner anyways.
Jackson doesn't want to empty the bag here. 4 in the bag. He doesn't want to get beaten by a bingo, but I think it might honestly be more dangerous to give Andy an additional chance to fish here. I think a play like Flan alongside Negated might actually be the best way for him to win this game. I don't want to give Andy another shot to fish. I don't want to give him one more chance. If he drew the bingo right now, sure, he has it. I'm not even seeing stuff that plays alongside Flan, though. Like Glories doesn't quite fit. I think you play FLAN, NA, and EN. Scores 19, which is going to be enough, I think, to outrun anything. You're bound to pick up vowels, and if you don't pick up vowels, Andy only has vowels. I think that's what you do. You actually empty the bag here, and you burn the F. Frack is not a consideration. Rack is not a consideration for you at all. Yeah, Flan has to be his best play.
This is one of those instances where you're glad that when you had the easy decisions like Axe at the beginning of the game that you played them quickly, so you have plenty of time to think this stuff through now at the end.
Yeah, Jackson's got to be looking at what is unseen and what possible bingos are there. I don't really see anything to that R in Rack. Oliguric is not quite there to the C. I'm not seeing almost anything to the C. The big concerns are something like ologies or glories or something like that, lousier, soilier. And those are going to play either alongside negates or on top of hoof. I don't see anything to the R. I don't see anything to the C. I've got to block those spots before Andy can open another one.
Ooh, yeah. He's playing it down in that bottom right corner. Luckily for him, it's not about to haunt him.
That is ballsy. Yeah, maybe Fane scores well enough that Jackson feels he can outrun a bingo like Glories or Ologies. Any bingo that does fit is just not going to score that much, and Andy's going to pull just one tile afterwards. Maybe Jackson thinks, Fane puts him up 401 to 342, so 59-point lead. Maybe he thinks he can live through a 65-point bingo and win the game anyway. I'm not sure, but I would have played Flan there. I think Quackle had it at over 99% to win as well. I checked it. But FANE, Quackle did have as a number 2 play at 96%-ish to win. So Quackle not the best at these situations. Those numbers are very loose. But okay, yeah. So Jackson is going to hold on and win this game. We will not have a single undefeated player after day one, barring something crazy. Wow. I already called another game earlier today and was wrong. I called that Alex Hoang was going to beat David Eldar, and then Alec inexplicably didn't block the only bingo line on the board and got bingoed out on and lost. So it's not over until it's over. I need to be careful not to call things anymore, but I don't see a way that Andy can win this game.
I think Andy is also reading the writing on the wall here. It is kind of a nice consolation prize that if you're going to lose a game, being the only undefeated person up until that point, knowing that you'll at least be right up there with one of the best records is.
Yeah, and Nationals is a long tournament. The goal is just to be in first or second place after 28 games. That's it. So really what you're thinking in this situation is, am I still in contention? And almost everybody is. Anybody can go 7-0 tomorrow and catapult back up to the top of the standings. I think Joey Kravchik is threatening to drop out of the tournament because he's 1-6. We'll see if that actually happens. But, anybody is alive. It's day one. Just try to get as many W's as you can right now. Don't stress about the rest. Play good Scrabble. Get a good night's sleep. Don't stay out too late gambling. Don't get too drunk. You can get drunk after day 3 when you've knocked yourself out of contention.
Not to mention, in addition to, there are a lot of other prizes out there. I say this as someone who has probably won more class prizes and just I don't know, high loss than she's ever won in.
Lauer. Andy's got to try something to win the game, and I guess he's going to try Lauer or Jackson. Just yeah, I'll challenge that. But yeah,
as far as Hail Marys go, it is on the less pronounceable side.
That is tough. Lauer.
I'm always use it in a sentence. My opponent tried to bingo out with Lauer.
Lauer.
It sounds like Scooby-Doo is trying to say flower.
Lauer for 0. Okay. Not what I thought was going to happen here either. But again, it's not over till the fat lady sings, and I haven't sung yet. So,
I mean, I do understand Andy's decision-making there. He's like, look, I got to try something. I'm probably going to lose this game. Might as well go out with a bang.
But now Jackson knows what's in the bag. There's an O, and Jackson can fish for goblins or globins. If Brack were good, Jackson would have unblockable fishes. So, you take your shot, sure, but can you get burned? What is it? Jackson sees bossing? Does bossing fit in 2 spots or something? Jackson knows he's going to draw an O, and he's got to figure out the best thing to do. Can he get an unblockable bingo? Can he set himself up?
Yeah, now Andy needs to consider that too.
So Gibsons would be a fitting word for the late David Gibson. Losings is also fishable for Jackson, which would be fitting after Lauer. Goblins and Globins also available. So I don't see that any of those are going to be unblockable. They'll only play on top of Hoof as far as I see. But Jackson's going to take his time, see if there's anything maybe he can hit to the R as well. Nothing to the R, nothing to the C. Dang, if Jackson were able to set himself up here, that would be really cool. But I don't think he can. He's going to have to play one consonant, and there's not a way to open another bingo line with just one consonant. Or is there?
I think I would fear Andy's knowledge enough to know that he's not going to let me bingo if I fish. Might as well, now having seen his rack, play something like blings and just get rid of as many tiles as I can, ensure I'm going out in 2 turns.
If Jackson may be looking at playing just ES next to negates, which would set up the ESS spot, but Andy can block all of it with a play like Euro. Jackson has to think about what eights. I mean, surely Andy's going to be able to respond to whatever Jackson does and try to block it all. But Jackson absolutely should take his time here and see if there's any way he can set him up. You never, ever have this situation in Scrabble where you know what you're going to draw on one time fish, but Jackson does. So the cool situation, I don't see a way he can manipulate this in his favor. Chat, y'all figure it out.
No, I agree. And I think if he comes to that conclusion, I would go for getting rid of as many tiles as possible. My instinct would be, let me just really make sure that I am going out. I mean, I guess that doesn't matter so much knowing that Andy's not going to bingo, but maybe this is just me saying it's the end of the day and I'm tired and like ready to go get dinner.
Yeah, I mean, blings I think is going to be Jackson's best end game in this situation. I don't see fishes at work. Not a cool situation, for sure. I wish like Grack or Breck were good. That'd make this wild.
That would be what a time. I think, okay, maybe he's just considering bins. Is it because he's nervous about Andy being able to play some sort of 8 through blinks?
No, it's because it sets up slog on top for a bunch of points, I think. No, it doesn't. What is he trying to... He's trying to figure out a way to set himself up.
Well, either way, I think we've seen some incredible play today. I think it's going to be a little bit easier to text Jackson about SPICA. Oh, he's going for Brack.
I guess he figures an out bingo is going to get instantly challenged, but this one is not. Nothing makes sense to me anymore. Time is a flat circle. I have no idea what's going on. This has been a very strange play or very strange tournament, but I do think there's something that absolutely needs to be said for playing 2 intense Scrabble tournaments in a 3-week span. I think we saw some of the sloppiest Scrabble I've ever seen in NWL Division 1 at this tournament last year because it was right after World Cup and players were drained, absolutely drained. And making uncharacteristic mistakes and weird plays. Definitely a lot of plays I can't figure out here, whereas at World Cup, I feel like people were playing a lot better. Or maybe it's just the methamphetamines that are in the air in Las Vegas. I'm convinced they have them floating around in the air. I don't know. I don't know what's happening, but Jackson plays bins and Brack, setting Andy up for a really nice play, and Jackson's going to go out with logs, and I guess that's how this one's going to end. So that's what happened.
I feel like it's easy for me to judge when I'm like, there are plenty of plays on this board that I would not have seen, would not have known. I didn't know SPICA was a word. But on the other hand, yeah, it's funny to see some missteps. They happen to work out in Jackson's favor. I feel a little less bad about you texting him about his missed S hook on this one.
Yeah,
It's a little
I
easier
think I've got to fire up the text machine again and ask Jackson what Pico was all about.
Wow, and I think we're also seeing some fascinating. Oh, look, Jackson's looking it up on his own right now.
Yeah. Hey, let's see if we can get to the table banter once again. Let's cut our audio because we're useless. Wow. So Jackson just completely did not think about it at all. Andy fully aware the whole time and just couldn't do anything.
And Andy thinking he's got to have both S's.
Okay, yeah. So this is what we've got. Clear Jackson didn't know or didn't see the hook. I'm certain he knew the word and dodges a big fat bullet as Andy just sitting there super confused and blocking it and wild game.
Which is what I am proud that I knew Andy's thought process right there when negated goes down, where he just goes, "Wait, what? Huh? Where are the S's?" And then the real mean kicker is that Jackson ends up getting both of those S's anyways.
Jackson absolutely dodging a massive, massive bullet there. He has to be fully aware how lucky he got on this one. But yeah, wow, 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 wow. All right,
And
well,
no undefeated players.
that wild game is going to be how we conclude day one of the Scrabble Players Championship. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 o'clock Pacific time, noon Eastern time, with 4 more games. I believe the plan is to do a little NWL and a little Collins in the morning. I'm not sure, but definitely some Collins action in the morning session tomorrow. And I believe it's going to be NWL from there out. But hop back onto Twitch tomorrow. Join me and a rotating crew of co-hosts. I want to give a shout out today to all 3 of my wonderful co-hosts who rotated in and out. Nitz Chug T and Mina Lay and Hannah Lieberman on with me currently. All 3 of them did a fantastic job, kept things entertaining. Thank you for volunteering your time. To everybody in chat, everybody watching right now, thanks for your time as well and your contributions, helping me do some commentary as well. And we will see everybody at 9 o'clock Pacific or noon Eastern tomorrow back here on Twitch TV/Scrabble for more Scrabble. For now, we're going to cut away. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow.